What's up, friends? Welcome into another episode of Tables, Tailgates, and Top Loaders. So happy to have you all aboard for this episode. I am your host, TB. Thank you all very much for stopping in and checking out another episode of the 3Ts. We just keep rolling right along. We have a lot to get to, so let's not waste any time. We're going to start off with wrestling, Marks. How the heck are we feeling coming off a crazy weekend of wrestling? Survivor Series, WarGames, Petco Park, San Diego, California. It came at you Saturday night, right around 7 p.m. And, well, how do we feel after coming out of that pay-per-view? I think the word I want to use is underwhelming. I'm going to go with underwhelming. Now, I had done a preview of Survivor Series WarGames last week. We had broken down each and every one of the 4 matches, and they didn't even add anything to this card. So, 4 matches, and it was bookend by the WarGames match. The pay-per-view started off with the women's match. Now, a couple things. The stadium looked pretty cool. I wonder what the sightlines were if you were sitting up top. In the upper decks of Pepco. I wonder if you were able to see, because the set that they built around the ring and everything looked kind of crazy. I just really wonder, when you put these events in a baseball stadium, how good are these seats actually? Because you never know what the heck you're paying for, and these tickets are so darn expensive. That's my biggest hang up when it comes to going to WrestleMania and shows like this. You never really know what you're going to get when you pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars for these seats. But visually on TV, it came off looking pretty cool. I love once the sun went down and the fireworks, they're shooting fireworks into the sky as the sun's setting. It just looks sick. The visuals are awesome. They always do a really good job with that. But for the actual pay-per-view, the WarGames match, I told you last week I was getting nostalgia for the old school Survivor Series matches. It's one of my favorite pay-per-views. They talked about this on the broadcast, how Survivor Series is one of the longest reigning pay-per-views ever. I think this was year 37. And over the last 4 or 5 years, I think 4 years, 5 years, I can't remember, but they had gotten away from the traditional Survivor Series matches, which was kind of disappointing. And now the focus of this pay-per-view is this WarGames setup. And to me, I just don't think these WarGames matches bring anything of substance to the show, and I wish that they would get away from designing your pay-per-view around a simple structure. It just doesn't make any sense to me. First of all, the WarGames matches, I just don't think they're that entertaining. I don't think they're that exciting. I just think that they are too much without being anything of real substance, if that makes sense. So before each match, you have to have a 45-second dissertation about what the rules are to the match. And they did this before the women's match and before the men's match. And so you have to explain the rules over and over again. And if you have to explain what the rules are to a common, maybe casual wrestling fan, your match is too convoluted and it doesn't make sense. But the whole point of these WarGames matches is it's supposed to be to blow off these long-running, huge feuds. It's the blood feud, right? You're pitting one team who historically has been together for quite some time and no one can dethrone them, and now you're putting together another team of super friends or whatever you want to call them to knock off this long-running threat, right? Well, did we really see that Saturday night in San Diego? The women's match, which started, you had the heel side, so it was Nia Jax, Lash Legend, Becky Lynch, and the Kabuki Warriors. They were pieced together, which is what I talked about. This team was pieced together 2 weeks prior to the event taking place on Saturday. So you want to talk a long-running feud, there really wasn't a lot there. Yeah, you had some mini feuds, and you had AJ versus Becky and the Kabuki Warriors versus, I don't know, they're fighting with everybody, it seems like, but no real feud that had kind of been woven out amongst the storylines for months and months. So I just don't think the match supported what the storyline was, and now you are designing a pay-per-view just because that's the name of your show. And I don't know. I didn't see the WarGames match as being that impactful. The other thing about the WarGames match is that there's kind of no rules, but you would expect total chaos in these things. And I thought, for as unpredictable and as chaotic as the match should be, it left a lot to be desired. I just felt like the cage is a structure that they just happen to be wrestling a regular run-of-the-mill match, and they throw in a couple weapons, and it's supposed to be, no holds barred and all kinds of stuff, no rules. But literally all you saw a kendo stick, you saw a chair, you saw a chain, and you saw a garbage can. And you're supposed to think, oh my gosh, this is extreme. And I'm like, there's nothing extreme about this match whatsoever. Even the cage, it's never really used other than somebody at some point is going to climb and dive off of at some point. You have the spot over and over again where people get thrown into the sides of it, but it really is never used as a weapon, the cell itself. So maybe it's just me. Maybe I just have a problem visually with the way these matches work, and we'll get into some of this other stuff later, but it's super hard to have cameras covering this type of match too, because it's twice as big as a normal match, because you have 2 rings and your cell structure is twice as big. And when you're spreading out your wrestlers over the space of 2 rings, most of your wrestlers aren't even going to be in the picture frame. It leads to a lot of shots of just one-on-ones and people in the background that are literally laying there dying, and it just doesn't make any sense. This huge violent blow-off match really wasn't that violent, and I felt like what they were doing was setting up the whole match to get to the big Io Sky dive off the top of the cage match, or the top of the cage with the trash can. This is something now that is becoming like the Kofi Kingston Royal Rumble survival. Like, we see this every year. How is Kofi going to survive getting tossed over the ropes? And what kind of acrobatic moveset is he going to do to save himself? And now this is becoming the Io Sky highlight of the WarGames match. What is she going to do? How is she going to incorporate a trash can dive off the top of the cage? And while there were some okay one-on-one spots that led up to this point, I just felt like there wasn't a ton going on in the match, and you had a lot of good wrestlers. So in my opinion, just get rid of the freaking cage and just do a standard Survivor Series match. I think I would have liked this match so much better if it was 5-on-5 and you could have done whatever you wanted on the outside, but just get rid of the cage, because it really didn't add anything to the match. But I think, like I said, the whole match was kind of paving the way and leading for this Io Sky Swanton off the top of the structure, and she put a trash can over herself and did the Swanton bomb, and she takes out everybody except Becky Lynch, who, to her credit, was able to kind of back off. And I don't know. That's the problem with the match. There were these specific moments, and then there was just a lot of nothing. So, and I kind of think that this was the same thing for both matches. Some high spots and then a lot of nothing. And like I said before, the camera can only really focus on one person at a time, and it doesn't really bode well for filming the whole dual ring structure. So literally, you're looking and you're seeing people in the background who are just, as I said before, just kind of playing dead. Makes no sense. Anyway, we get to the culmination of Io hitting the big swanton. Becky Lynch kind of gets out of the way. Io takes everybody out. And then as Lynch is trying to escape and flee to the opposite side of the cage, the good guys, the baby faces, they all kind of grab her. Rhea Ripley hits her with the Riptide, and that's right into the Black Widow that AJ Lee puts on Becky Lynch, and Becky submits. There's your winners. So good guys win. I think I picked that the good guys were going to win this. I had hoped that it was going to be the heel team, but whatever. What did I like about this? I think Lash Legend, she came out last for the heel side. I think she looked like a monster. She's still a little green. I think she still has some work to do. She needs some seasoning, and that's okay. Like, you have to learn somewhere. So put her in the ring with these awesome women wrestlers, and it's going to elevate her game. But I think she's going to be a great heel. I think she is absolute money down the road. She could be a dominant heel champion in the future. AJ Lee, was it me, or did she barely do anything in this match? She came out, and as soon as she gets in the ring, that she has like a 2-minute session where she's on fire. And then after that, the only spot was her trying to get the trash can up to Io, who was on top of the cage, and because she's so short, she couldn't jump and get it to her. So Rhea Ripley put her up on the shoulders to assist, getting the trash can to Io. And then after the move, she hits Lynch with the Black Widow, and that's it. But I just felt like she didn't really do anything. The MVP of this match, Becky Lynch. It's not in my opinion, it's not even close. The way she sold, the way she told a story in the midst of this match, her emotion, her facial expressions, she's at the top. She is at the top, not only of this match, but I think she is the top female in the company, if not all of wrestling right now, for the work she's doing. I think she's freaking unbelievable. I'm loving everything she's doing. I can't wait to see where this goes with AJ Lee. I think the feud is great. If you follow her social media stuff, the stuff she's doing on social media, going against the refs and going against the general managers and just blasting everyone on socials, it's freaking amazing. And it's just taking her character to a totally different level. She's doing great work. I give her mad props. This whole match, the women's match, 41 minutes. And just like I said, like, it's fine. It was fine. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like fall in love with it either. There's, like I said, some good spots, some not so great spots, and it was just whatever. I was kind of underwhelmed. And then we get to the second match of the night. This was my favorite match of the night by far. This is the last pay-per-view for John Cena. This is his second to last match in his retirement tour. Cena versus Dirty Dom Mysterio for the Intercontinental belt. And this is classic old school shenanigans at its best. Now, I will never say that this was a 5-star classic wrestling match. You're not going to see hold after hold and moveset after moveset and all this kind of crap. It was just a banger of an entertaining, awesome, fun, super quick, a lot going on. Don't blink, you might miss something kind of match. I loved this match. You had a fake injury from Dom Mysterio. That was a huge key. You had a ref bump. You had multiple run-ins with the Judgment Day. I mean, who was it? Finn Balor and JD McDonough make the run-in, and Cena manages to do the dual attitude adjustment on both of them. It was awesome. And then finally the big payoff with the return of the Liv Morgan storyline. She's been out for quite some time. She had to get surgery. I believe it was her shoulder, but she is back, and that was great. It was great. The whole throwback to the John Cena heel turn back in Elimination Chamber when she jumps in his arms and she's holding on to him, and she had the best facial expressions ever. She does the absolute from good to evil facial expression change, just like Cena did back in Elimination Chamber. It was classic. She hops off, kicks him in the nether regions. Then Dom throws her the belt. She hits him with the belt. Frog splash. 1, 2, 3. Dirty Dom, new IC champion in his hometown of San Diego. It was just perfect. A lot going on. People are going to be like, yeah, it was overbooked. No. This was so great. So much fun. It brought back Liv. It got her back in the mix. Instantly back to the top of the card there. And it took the belt off Cena, which is what we needed going into his last match on December 13th at Saturday night's main event, which we'll get to in a second. I loved this match. This match was great. Third match of the night. It's hard to follow Cena. So yeah, these two ladies, I'm sorry, they did their best, but you really had no chance. Stephanie Vaquer, the champion, versus Nikki Bella, who I told you before, she had zero chance of winning this match. And that's exactly what happened. She did not win. This match was fine. It was much better than some of her other previous matches. I'm talking about Nikki Bella. She's been a little rough, a little rusty since coming back, which is to be understood. I understand why this match is here. I understand what she was brought back for. There was zero chance she was going to beat Vaquer. And so Stephanie wins. Her finisher, whatever they call that, corkscrew moonsault and craziness off the top rope onto the fallen victim of Nikki Bella. It's just that move, when it hits perfectly, it is insane to see. Props to her. That finisher is awesome. But yeah, I mean, whatever. That match was just fine. And then we finish, like I said, this is the second WarGames match. This is the men's match. And this match finishes, and everyone, including myself, because I checked on reactions and stuff online afterwards, everyone was like, what the hell was that? And it was just, I don't know. The other problem with the WarGames match is it takes so long for the actual match to start. And then I feel like by the time everyone's in the cage after coming down in 5 minutes and 3 minutes and 3 minutes and alternating and blah, 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 by the time the match actually starts and they ring the bell, then after that, it's like 5 minutes and the match is over. So it just doesn't make too much sense to me. But some high spots, Lesnar comes in, goes crazy, just crushes everyone. Suplex City after Suplex City, F5 after F5. That was cool stuff. Reigns finally comes out. He's the last one to come out of the back, which, mind you, they made the change this year, and rumor has it is because of Brock Lesnar. But historically, in these war match games, as I talked about in last week's preview, they would put these shark cages outside the ring, and they would put the entire team in the shark cage. And then slowly, one at a time, as the clock dictated, one person would get released from the cage and would run down to the WarGame structure. Well, this year, they completely got rid of these. And so now everyone is coming in from backstage, and you have no idea of the order. Now, you wouldn't know anyway, even if they were in the shark cage, but it was just weird not having anyone ringside. And so the rumor was, well, there's no way Brock Lesnar is going to be locked in this cage with his team, and you can insert whatever joke you want there. But that was what the rumor was. Whether that was true or not, I don't know. I kind of like the shark cage stuff because it gave this tension in the team of who's going to be released next, whose ego is going to get hurt and all that stuff. But anyway, Reigns finally comes out. He's last, like I said. He goes right after Lesnar. He hits him with 3 Superman punches, and then he goes for a 4th, and Lesnar puts him through in the announce table, and that's it. And I'm like, what happened to Reigns? He's now dead on the outside. He gets picked up and thrown into the cage, and the match officially starts. And then it's just people laying around doing nothing. And I was just like, this is what I talked about in the first one. It's one-on-one with 8 other people literally sitting there gasping for air or acting like they're dead. And I don't like it. I just don't like it. There's too much laying around doing nothing. Finally, at some point, this hooded masked figure comes jumping in through and over, or not through, but up and over the cage. You can't see his face. He's completely masked. He's completely wearing a hoodie, and so nothing is distinguishable about him at all. But he hits a super kick on CM Punk. Then he hits him with the curb stomp, so everyone's assuming it's Seth Rollins, but there's no way. Unless Seth Rollins just destroyed Thanksgiving meal and hasn't worked out for a few weeks and is already gone after the the Christmas cookies a little early, there's no way that was Seth Rollins. But they try to tell you that because of the moveset, that it's Seth Rollins. It's not the case at all. So he then climbs out the other side of the cage and disappears. Braun hits the spear on CM Punk, and that's your match. And I'm like, what? That's the end of the match? It's over immediately, and you're thinking, that's it? That's it? So it was just, this match was a minute or two shorter than the women's match. I think this match came in right around 40 minutes. And again, like I said, a few cool spots, but nothing that I'm like, holy cow, I have to rewatch that match again. It was just kind of this whole idea that this WarGame structure is this violent end to these blood feuds. It's just not what, they're not using it as it's intended. And I just think they need to kind of put it to the side. Couple things that stood out in that match, though. There's a nasty spot where Cody Rhodes picks up Braun Breaker on his shoulders, and then CM Punk dives off with a clothesline. I think it's called the electric chair. Well, Braun flips backwards and literally lands on the back of his head, and it was a crazy, scary spot. Thank God he is fine, but that was nasty. And then the other issue I had, this Jey Uso yeeting thing. Look, I've talked about this before, but I think we are 8 contestants into this match, and the good guys sort of get the upper hand at some point. This is right before Lesnar and Reigns come into the match. Jey does the hand gesture thing where he starts, like, oh, run it again. And he starts looking at the camera, and he starts doing this entrance thing nonsense that he does when he comes into the matches. And he's like, oh, let's start my music up again. And he starts the whole yeet process. And in the middle of a WarGames match, he starts yeeting. And I'm like, what the actual hell are you doing? It totally took me out of the match. You want to suspend disbelief when you're watching wrestling, right? So you're trying to at least imagine that these teams are in these such significant feuds that they want to literally kill each other in these rings. And then, nope, we're going to stop and dance before the big badass that is Brock Lesnar comes down. So he's yeeting, and then all of a sudden Lesnar's music comes in and he runs to the ring and just destroys everybody. And I'm like, good, because that's what you get for yeeting for the last 5 minutes. It was just stupid. It made no sense. And that's the stuff that just takes you out of the whole WarGames experience. I don't know. I want to go back to old school Survivor Series. I think you could have had the same 2 men's and women's matches without the cage, and I think it would have been just as good. So I love the Cena match, and the WarGames matches were okay. So out of 4 turnbuckles, I will give Survivor Series WarGames from San Diego a 2.5 out of 4 turnbuckles. What else do I want to talk about? Monday Night Raw Fallout. This was last night. You were expecting to get information about the hooded masked man feature, and you got absolutely nothing. What you did get is a setup for a month from now, the 1-year anniversary of Raw on Netflix. They announced Braun Breaker versus CM Punk. Hey, guess what? This is exactly what they set up last night. Or I'm sorry, not last night, but at Survivor Series with Braun pinning CM Punk. And now he has a title shot that will be on Monday Night Raw. And then the semifinals of the Last Time Is Now John Cena tournament to decide who will face him at Saturday night's main event. You had LA Knight beat Jey Uso. Thank goodness. Can you imagine if Jey Uso was in the finals for this tournament? It would be not good. And then you're starting to see a change in his mental state, a change in his character. Jey loses, thank goodness, and starts, wrecking shop around the ring. He knocks over the Prime drink stand, which no one cares about, by the way. And then backstage, he's acting all sad and downtrodden and whatever. And he tries to be interviewed and he kind of just acts like an a-hole. I said this before. I want to see Jey Uso completely change the character. He needs to get away from the yeeting. He needs to go back to doing something, anything, be a bad guy. This character, I don't know. The whole singles run with him as champ, I just thought was bad. We shall see where this goes. But the other side of the semifinals, Gunther versus Solo Sikoa. Holy cow. This match was fire. Solo Sikoa put on probably his best match I've ever seen. And Gunther, I know there's Gunther haters out there. You all are wrong. I'm telling you right now, Gunther can wrestle with anyone. As seen just in the tournament alone since he came back, he has wrestled Javon Evans. Match was great. Carmelo Hayes, that match was great. And then this match against Solo Sikoa was absolute fire. I just think Gunther is fantastic. I love his character. I love his ability to work all kinds of matches. He can work with anyone, big, small, it doesn't matter. He has power. He has technique. He can wrestle any style of match. You could put him in the ring with anyone, and he's going to put a great product out there. So he has to be at the top of the WWE food chain as far as importance to this company. I know people don't like him, and I just don't get it. They think he's out of shape. They think he doesn't look good. But this is old school, classic villain wrestling 101. And the fact that he can actually wrestle, because if you look at some of the old school guys back in the day, like Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov and some of the old school heels, they were just terrible wrestlers. Gunther can actually wrestle, and he can go with anyone. So super excited for LA Knight, versus Gunther in the finals to decide who is going to go on to Saturday night's main event and face John Cena. I think it's going to be Gunther, but we shall see. Frankly, either one, I think it's going to be great. I think either one is going to go on and beat Cena, but we can talk about that next week. I think those 2 matches were really good, but the Solo and Gunther match, holy cow. That match was awesome. It had a lot of reversals. It had a lot of hard-hitting action. It was just, the crowd was popped for that match. It just was fire. Hats off to both of them. Great work. And Solo, way to step it up. That match elevated you another step at least, because that's the best match I've ever seen you wrestle. Great job. And then the main event of Raw, you had Charlotte and Alexa versus Io and Rhea Ripley. These 2 teams were duking it out to try to become the number 1 contender for the Kabuki Warriors tag team belts. Now, this was a good match. This was the finale of Raw. It ended in a complete schmazzola. Of course, you had the Kabuki Warriors run out. They took it to all 4 of the women in the ring, and then Bayley and Lyra Valkyria come down to make the save. There was some backstage interaction between them and Kabuki earlier in the night. And then, of course, to finish off this Schmaz Fest, you had the Judgment Day with Raquel and Roxanne and Liv Morgan. They all came down and kind of took everyone out. It was pretty sick. Raquel Rodriguez, she is elevating her game. She is showing when she sticks to the power stuff, it looks great. It looks fire. And then the Pop Rocks move that Roxanne Perez does, I love that move. That move is sick. It looks great. So the end of your show is the three ladies of the Judgment Day standing tall. So the whole return of Liv is really setting the stage for what's to come. What else happened on Raw? One more thing I want to talk about. The New Day had a tag team match for the belts against Dragon Lee and AJ Styles. If you haven't seen this finisher is one of the craziest things I've ever seen to this match. At some point, Kofi Kingston is I'll try to explain this. He is folded over the top rope, kind of face down with his torso on the top ring rope. Dragon Lee jumps from the turnbuckle onto his back, and it kind of springboards Kofi in the air right into the waiting arms of AJ Styles, who catches him in the perfect position to transition right into the Styles Clash, hits the Styles Clash finisher, and the match is over. My mind was blown that they were able to accomplish this move. It was insane. This move is crazy. I've never seen a move like this before, and I watch a ton of wrestling. The match was fine, but the ending alone is worth the price of admission. That was insane. I can't say enough good stuff about it. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. What else do I want to talk about in the wrestling world? Y'all, how are we feeling about this transition to the new ESPN platform for the PLEs? Oh, it's rough. I got to tell you, I am not too happy with the way they have this app set up. I miss Peacock, and I was shocked to find myself saying that. I was a little late to watch Survivor Series. I couldn't watch it Saturday night, or I started it real late because we were out. I was down visiting my son in Pensacola. We had gone to a hockey game. So by the time I went to fire up this show, it was probably 11, and I just wanted to start it and check out the first match. So I fire up the ESPN app, and what do I see? Immediately, I'm seeing results from the show right on the app. Now, historically, what I do when I have these sport apps is there's usually an ability to turn off the results for the contests. So whether it's a football game, baseball, basketball, whatever, what have you, you can go in, you can click a button, and it will hide the results so you can go in and watch the games later. Well, despite doing this on the ESPN app, they think, oh, it's not important to hide wrestling results. I literally load up the app, and the first thing I see is Liv Morgan in the arms of Dom Mysterio on the front page of the ESPN app. I can't find where to start the pay-per-view, and it instantly spoils the John Cena match for me. And I'm like, this pisses me off. I have to pay you $30 a month, and just because I can't sit down at 7 to watch it doesn't mean I don't want to watch it. And you've already spoiled one of the main things in the entire show for me. I was not happy. It's not intuitive. You can't easily get to the start. If you're just using the app, you can't easily get to the start of the show. You have to thumb through all this other crap, and it's maddening to me. When I fired up the Peacock app, it was right front and center. It was like, oh, this is WrestleMania. Do you want to watch? You hit yes, and then it goes, do you want to watch live or start from the beginning? And you hit start from the beginning, and it's awesome. This is trash. And then when you finally get to play it, not only is there ads, which whatever, everything has ads anymore, but the quality of the video is terrible. And you have to wait and watch 4 to 5 minutes of this grainy, terrible quality stream before it actually finally kicks into high def. And I'm like, this is garbage. So ESPN, you better pick your game up. I'm already not happy, and we're 2 pay-per-views into this nonsense. Ugh. That was extremely frustrating to be super excited to watch the PLE, and the first thing I see is one of the biggest giveaways of the whole show. So thanks a lot. You spoiled the Liv return. You spoiled the John Cena match. I was not happy with you whatsoever. But I think that's going to wrap up the wrestling portion of the program. It is time to turn our attention to the Buffalo Bills. Bills Mafia, how the heck are we feeling? Coming off a 26-7 Beatdown. Can I use the word beatdown of the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Acrisure Stadium? Yeah, I'm going to use beatdown because after the first half, the Steelers had no chance at all. Now, I will be completely open and honest with you. I was watching the first half of this game on an airplane. So you want to talk about shoddy Wi-Fi. Yeah, it's awesome. If you ever tried to watch a sporting event on an airplane, you get probably 3 plays in a row and then it freezes or pauses and then it jumps another 2 or 3 plays and it's just terrible. So I tried to watch the first half on the airplane and it was not good. Second half, by the time I made it to the car and we were driving back home, we managed to get the game on the radio, and I listened to probably the end of the third quarter and most of the fourth quarter driving home. Anyway, I had to come back and rewatch the whole game later on. But yeah, I'm going with beatdown. And I know there's a lot of Bills fans out there who are complaining and pissing and moaning about the way we won, but at this point in the year, I don't care how we win. I talked about it in my game preview. I said this was going to be a field goal game. Matt Prater, we're going to get to you in a second, but you missed a kick. Actually, we're going to get to you right now. You missed a kick. It's becoming inconsistent. I'm not liking where this is going. I need you to be a little more accurate heading into the playoff stretch because we just found out that Tyler Bass had season-ending surgery and is not going to be a factor for the rest of the season. So Prater, I thought you were going to be the MVP of the game. You missed a kick. I wasn't too happy about it. You got to get your stuff together. So, but anyway, what do we want to talk about with this game? This game was kind of ugly. The first half, especially the first half, was really ugly. It's 3-7 was the halftime score. We were moving the ball like crazy, but we kept shooting ourselves in the foot with the turnovers. And here we go again. Josh Allen throws a pick. Now, the defender made a great play, but the James Cook fumble off his knee and just wow. We were cruising 2 drives right there that didn't amount to any points, and we finished the half with 3. But the second half, going back and seeing that Bosa sack on Aaron Rodgers. First of all, Aaron Rodgers, side note, this dude looks like he's 65 years old. What is he doing? Shame on the Steelers. Shame on the Steelers for thinking this is a great idea. We're going to bring in this old man, Aaron Rodgers, and he's going to be the savior of the Steelers organization. You know what? You make a stupid decision like that, and you get what you pay for. What did you think was going to happen? Did you think he was going to be reverted to 30-year-old Aaron Rodgers, 35-year-old Aaron Rodgers? No, he's 42 some years old. He looks like he's 60. He is terrible. So shame on you, Mike Tomlin, number 1, for signing this guy, and number 2, for playing him, because he was clearly less than 100% heading into this game. But I love it. I love it because he played like crap, and Rudolph, the backup, well, he probably gave you a better chance to win, but who knows? Who knows at this point? The second half, the scoop and score of Christian Benford after Bosa just levels him. I mean, he leveled him. That was an awesome hit. Benford picks it up, scoop and score, tutty. It's all of a sudden 10-7, and we are never looking back. Never looking back. The defense, first we'll start with the defense. The Bills defense held the Steelers to 58 yards rushing and 117 yards passing. You add that up, that's less than 200 yards of total offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Congratulations, Bills defense. Y'all freaking crushed it. You balled out. That was amazing. I said that the Steelers, despite the fact that they're not that great at running the ball, they should have leaned into it. Well, the Bills had that on complete lockdown. They played great. DK Metcalf, I think you hold him in check, and Christian Benford's coming on. He's coming on, which is perfect because we're going to need him like nothing else next week to go against Jamar Chase. But to hold them to under 200 yards rushing, and then on the offensive side of the ball, who had this in their bingo card? 249 yards rushing for the Buffalo Bills offense, breaking the record of the all-time rushing record inside Acrisure Stadium for a visiting team. Good, because I had this game marked on our calendar for the whole year. I can't wait. I couldn't wait to go into Pittsburgh and beat them. I didn't think it was going to be a beatdown like this. And this is one of those, talk about old school wrestling. This was one of those old school football games where the offensive line, and this was crazy because we had no Spencer Brown and we had no Deion Dawkins. So 2 backup offensive linemen, and we go into Pittsburgh, into their stadium, and we rush for 250 yards, just destroying it right down their freaking throats. Play after play after play after play. What was the byproduct? Oh, the Steelers didn't really care for that. They started getting a little chippy. People started getting mad, and all this nonsense with Cam Hayward and all his crying and nonsense, all this crap coming out about, oh, Josh, need me in the stomach. Dude, you are 6'4", 350 pounds, one of the biggest guys in football, and you're complaining that a quarterback needs you in the stomach? Well, because you were laying on top of him? I don't know. Just ridiculous. A couple things. I give props to Alec Anderson and Ryan Vandermark. You guys, way to go. I know there was some offsides issues on passing plays because y'all were trying to anticipate getting out of the break and protecting Josh from TJ Watt. Props to the offensive line. I mean, y'all showed up, you brought your lunch pails to work, and you just beat the crap out of the Steelers defensive line, and it was awesome. It was awesome to see. Josh Allen, he scored his 76th rushing touchdown, which is the most by a quarterback of all time. So congrats, you are number one on the list. I don't think that record's ever going to be broken because he's going to obviously keep adding to it. There's never going to be another quarterback like him in the history of football. I'm planting my flag right there. He's going to go down as the all-time rushing quarterback touchdown leader in the history of the NFL. I'm just telling you right now. And then, like we talked about, most rushing yards by a visiting team in Acrisure Stadium history. That's great. That's great. So now the negatives. The negatives are Bills Mafia. You all are complaining because we didn't win with enough style points. We didn't really dive into the aerial attack. We didn't come out guns blazing, and our passing game still looks like crap. Well, you know what? I talked about it in my game preview. You have to win at all costs. This was a must-win for both teams. A must-win for the Bills, a must-win for the Steelers, and a dub is a dub. I don't care how we get it. So consider this. We were down 2 offensive linemen. We had no Dalton Kincaid. We had no Josh Palmer. And Brandon Cooks is literally in the building for 3 or 4 days. I can't remember exactly when he came into the building. You went on the road. You're playing in a windy stadium. The weather wasn't great. And game script, I talk about this all the time. Joe Brady, know your game script. Know how the flow of the game is going. I actually commend him. I'm not going to put him on the negative list today. One play, he ran the stupid Shakir screen, which I hate, and that was early in the game, and I almost got picked off. But for the most part, he leaned into the run script because he knew that we were getting chunk play after chunk play on the ground. Is it pretty? I don't know. It depends. How do you like your football? Do you like to just beat the absolute snot of your opponent, or do you like to throw the ball all over the field? Sometimes I like a little of both, but it was great to watch the Steelers sit there and cry like a bunch of babies, and we just manhandle them up and down the field to a tune of 250 yards on the ground. So I don't know what y'all want. I don't know what y'all want. This game played itself out in the best possible way. We kept Josh safe. We kept players off the field who probably could have played, but maybe we were just protecting them and getting them ready. I'm telling you right now, this Bengals game is going to be a huge game. A huge game. I'm still a little upset that they moved the game back to 1 o'clock because now I'm not going to be able to make it. But I digress. But to hold the ball for 42 minutes on offense, 42 minutes, think about that. The Steelers only had the ball for 18 minutes of this game. You don't see that too often. So I don't want to hear about, well, the offense, the passing game is still broken, blah, 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 blah. You could be right. I'm not saying you're wrong, but the game script for this game dictated that we didn't need to throw it. Now, that will probably change in the next few weeks, but if you are able to run the ball, then you run the ball. And we've seen this time after time. When we abandon the run and it's working, that's when we get ourselves in trouble. And this is what happened with Houston. We were finding success, but we refused to lean into it. At least Joe Brady recognized, hey, the running game's working. We're going to keep leaning into it. And it wasn't just James Cook. It was Ty Johnson. It was Ray Davis. Ray Davis was a beast in this game. Awesome. He was a beast in this game. So it was the trifecta of awesome. And Brady sprinkled in a few new looks. You had the offset I formation with Ty Johnson lining up in front of James Cook. And we had like a short, I think it was a 4th and 2. And we do the inside handoff to Ty Johnson. I love that play call. Love it. Because you're adding some new wrinkles to the running game. It's great. And then you got guys like TJ Watt, and he's complaining, well, the Bills ran the same play over and over again. Well, you couldn't stop him. So why are you going to show new looks and new things if you can't stop the team? So if you can master a few plays, and hear my words, if you can master a few plays, the plays we don't master, the screen to Shakir and pray, get that out of here. The old end around, which we fumbled on twice, get that out of here. But if you can master this run game with Cook and a few variations off of that, run it all day. If they're not going to stop you and they're just going to complain about it, run it all day. So yeah, the only concern coming out of this game is the Joey Bosa injury. The only concern is a Joey Bosa injury. He didn't finish the game. Now, he didn't seem like it was such a big deal, but he didn't finish the game, and it's a hamstring. So we have seen historically this season that the Bills really play it safe with these soft tissue injuries. I mean, Kincaid has missed 3 straight games. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe he won't be available for the Bengals game, which we're going to kind of lean into here in a minute. Other than that, everyone seemed to come out of this game healthy. You had the return of Keon Coleman. Now, he ended up catching a touchdown. I think he only had 2 catches in the game, but he made an impact. That play, that throw to Keon where Josh fakes on a rollout to his left and fakes and then gets the defender up in the air and then throws the shot in the corner of the end zone to Keon. Great play. Great play. Just an awesome play. Awesome play. But yeah, I'm happy with the result. Did he throw for 275 and 4 touchdowns? No. But we didn't need it. So take it easy. This is what I'm talking about. Just enjoy the games that we do win, and we win pretty handily, because once Rodgers fumbles at the open of the second half, the game's over. I really enjoyed watching that play over and over and over again. Anyway, I'm not going to be able to get a game preview out for the upcoming Bengals game this week. So I'm going to kind of try to do some of it now. So normally what I do, I start with the power rankings. The power rankings are out. They just popped out this morning, and the Bills moved up slightly in some publications and have held steady in others. So some still have us as low as 11, and others have us moved up to the 8 or 9 spot. So, I mean, not much. I don't think people are really holding the Steelers in high regard this year, which makes sense because I don't think they're a very good football team. Yeah, we'll be anywhere between 8 and 11. And then who's leading in some of these? I don't know. I've seen the Rams. I've seen the Patriots. It goes back and forth. The Broncos are up there. None of these teams scare me. The Rams just lost. The Patriots, I know they just blew out the Giants last night, but we shall see what happens in 2 weeks when we go to Foxborough. I'm looking forward to that. Let's turn our attention to injuries coming into this Bengals game. This is my concern with the Bosa thing. He's dealing with the hammy. I think if this was a must-win scenario, I think Dalton Kincaid probably would have played in the Steelers game. So I'm thinking he's going to be back for the Bengals game. I also think, I know McDermott had a press conference yesterday afternoon, and he said that these guys are all kind of leaning in the right direction. So Kincaid, Palmer, I bet you they both take the field. Deion Dawkins, he's still in concussion protocol. That's going to be a huge red flag, a huge question mark. Terrell Bernard, can we talk about Terrell Bernard for a minute? This is kind of the deal with Taylor Rapp. Addition by subtraction. When Taylor Rapp was brought off the field and we found out he had an injury and he had to have surgery, what happened? The secondary kind of got better. Well, what's happened when Terrell Bernard has been off the field? I feel like the defense, the middle of the defense has gotten better. Shaq Thompson is a beast. So when push comes to shove, I would rather see Shaq in there because I feel like it allows some of the other guys to play a little freer, if you will. Milano is looking a little better. I just think the defense is playing better without Bernard and without Taylor Rapp. And think of that however you want. Those guys were having terrible seasons, and maybe it's injury related, maybe it's not. Maybe they're just having a step back in their career. Shaq Thompson is there, and he can play. So get him on the field. Those things are looking better. But anyway, Terrell Bernard, he's still dealing with the arm thing. I'm not sure if he's going to be available. Spencer Brown still dealing with the shoulder. They were considering putting him on IR. I don't know what the case is, but I would doubt that he's going to be available come Sunday. And then, as I talked about before, Tyler Bass had season-ending surgery. They found something that was upsetting, or I don't know all the details, and they elected to have surgery, and he is done for the year. So, Matt Prater, you are on the clock. There's no pressure of you losing your job, so don't start shanking kicks all over the place. Get your stuff together and start making these kicks as the 82-year veteran that you are. What else we want to talk about? Joe Burrow, he made his long-awaited return to the Bengals lineup. Did you all see this Ravens-Bengals game? Yikes. I had to get up early on Friday, so I didn't watch very much of this game. But I got up on Friday and I looked at this game and I saw the score 32-14, and I said, what the actual heck happened to the Ravens? Joe Burrow's back. He returned Thanksgiving night, and they just crushed the Ravens. I watched a lot of the highlights. He still looks like he is, not 100%. I would put him probably at 80, 85%. He looks like he can't really step into some of these throws. His arm strength isn't totally back. He looks like he's still a little limited with his mobility. So we shall see how the toe injury affects him going into the rest of the season. I mean, with him back, anything's possible. They're only 2 games out of the AFC North. And the Steelers, the Ravens, the Browns, they're all falling apart. So it would not shock me if they could go on a run, but I don't want it to start Sunday against Buffalo in Orchard Park. The Bengals, they are bad against the run. I mean bad. They are 31st in the league, giving up 153 yards per game. So what do we need to do? It's kind of the same game script that we just had against the Steelers, if I'm looking at this game right. Now, the Bengals have a much better aerial attack, and you got a much better quarterback and much better wide receivers on this team. So we need to control the game. We need to not get into a shootout with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, who I think is going to be back. That's their trifecta, right? Higgins, Chase, Burrow. He's just going to bomb it out. So Christian Benford, you are up, my friend. This is going to be your best chance to prove that you are back. You've had 2 better games after a terrible start to the year, and now you're going to be matched up with probably arguably one of the best 2 or 3 receivers in the league with Jamar Chase. He has the most catches by a wide receiver in the NFL. They're going to be bombs away, because their running game kind of is non-existent. And so it's a Trey White, Maxwell Harrison, and Christian Benford game. This is the key. You have to be able to get pressure on Joe. Like I said, he might not be as mobile as he used to be, but if Bosa is out, our key pass rusher is down, because I could see him missing this game. That means Epinesa, you got to step up. No more stupid penalties like knocking the ball out of somebody's hands for 15-yard personal foul. Dude, get your head out of your rear end and get back to playing like you did at the beginning of the season. Need him to step up. And some of these other guys need to step up, because especially if Bosa's out, it's going to be tough to get pressure on Joe. But we got to get pressure on Joe, and we got to allow our cornerbacks a chance against Jamar and T. Higgins. And then, like I said, establish the run just like Pittsburgh. Keep the ball out of Joe's hands for as long as possible. If we can have the ball for 35 to 40 minutes, we should be in a pretty good shape. Get the pass rush going, avoid a shootout, and don't turn the ball over. For the love of God, what's happened to this team? We used to be so Loctite with the turnovers, and now every game, it seems like 2 to 3 turnovers. You can't go against these better teams, turn the ball over, and expect to win. You just can't. Got to lock that up, folks. Got to lock it up. But I expect some of these guys to come back. I would love to see Kincaid come back and at least have a more of a threat of a balanced attack if need be through the air. And Josh Palmer. So you get Cooks and Josh Palmer and Kincaid and just Shakir, and then you sprinkle in some Keon Coleman and Dawson Knox. Hey, okay, let's see what we got. Oh, my stress meter. I always forget the stress meter because usually it's broken from week to week. But the stress meter going into this game, this is, I don't know. I was worried that I had this game circled on my calendar from as soon as the schedule came out. I think that this was going to be a key game, and I know Joe Burrow got hurt. The Bengals have had a down year so far, but they're coming into this game with some momentum because Joe's back, and I think he's the leader of this team, and as they go, the team goes. So I could see them being a dark horse and can knock some of these other fringe playoff teams completely out of contention. So they could play spoiler the rest of the year, if not climb back into contention themselves. It's a stressful game because this offense of the Bengals can put pressure on the Bills' defense. But I think we are going to be okay. I got my stress meter right around a 5. And I think that's because the defense is playing well. But we do have a lot of injuries, and I just think the Bengals are a better team than the Steelers are right now. I know it's hard to say because their record doesn't reflect that, but I think you add Joe Burrow back to the mix, and I think it makes him a better team, especially coming off the heels of just demolishing the Ravens. So I think this team's going to present a bigger problem to the Bills. So yeah, my stress meter is at a 5. But anyway, I don't think it's going to change my prediction because here we go. Sunday at 1 o'clock, Highmark Stadium. Bills right now are favored at home by 6 points against the incoming Cincinnati Bengals. How do I have this one playing out, folks? I have this one with the Bills covering the spread and winning 31-24. I think we keep some positive momentum going. I think some incremental changes are happening on the defensive side of the ball, which I really like. If we could keep playing smart, good, sound football, if we could keep making tackles, which was huge in the last game. We only had 4 missed tackles, which has been the plague of the defense of the defense thus far of the season. They tackled really well last game. If we could tackle well and hold T. Higgins and Jamar down to relatively easy to manage games, I think we can end up winning this game at home. I think the crowd's going to have a huge impact. And so, yeah, 31-24. I like this game. And as I said, the next one on the schedule, the Patriots, that's the game that we're going to highlight for the rest of the year. So I think it's going to wrap it up for the Bills portion. Now, I want to finish this with a quick hobby portion. Card enthusiast, hobby enthusiast, how are we feeling? I'm going to start right off with my If Money Were No Object buy of the week, and we are going to talk about none other than 24-25, the Cup, NHL. And you might say, what? Why are you talking about NHL? I started to look into this, and the Cup is like their premium product. And I know it says 24-25, but what they do is this product is worked on all through the last regular season. I know we are on 25-26. But they put this together and they work on this throughout the entire last season, and then they finally drop it during the current season. And this is their biggest product of the year. Their highest end, I don't want to say biggest product, it's their highest end, highest quality, most expensive release that they do. And this is Upper Deck 24-25 NHL, the Cup. It comes out on tomorrow, actually, Wednesday, December 3rd. And I'm looking at these cards, and some of these cards are just insane. There is a Wayne Gretzky exquisite autograph patch card, 1 of 1, that has him in his Edmonton Oilers uniform. The patch is sick. It has orange, white, and blue. It has Wayne Gretzky's auto with a 99 inscription on it, and it's a 1 of 1. If you haven't seen this card is straight fire. But here's the problem. These are like I said, extremely high-end cards, and it's 1 pack per box. You get 6 cards per pack. That's it. So you're getting 6 cards. You get 1 base card, 1 rookie patch auto, 1 rookie auto patch card, mem card, book card, or printing plate. So a little confusion there, but I'm trying to actually explain what's in this 6-card pack, which is crazy. Then you get 2 memorabilia cards, which could be base, insert, printing plates, or redemption cards. And then you get 1 more additional autograph card. So out of this, you're getting 1, 2, at least 3 autographs out of your 6 cards. And as I said, some of these autographs and the patches that come with them are just straight ridiculous. We're used to the napkin patches where you just get literally a splotch of white fabric or black fabric or whatever color. These are legit patches. You get all the stuff that comes from the logos on the jerseys. I'm looking at a Connor Bedard card that's called Materialistics, meaning stick of the hockey stick. On one half of this card, you get a patch of the jersey, and then on the other half, you have a piece of the hockey stick, and that card is autographed at the same time. So I'm like, these cards are ridiculous. There's a Jack Eichel card that has a picture of him on the side, a Golden Knights patch that is clearly from like the center of his jersey, and then he autographed that, and that's numbered to 15 or less. You want to talk straight fire. The problem with this is the cost, because right now you can get these for the low price of, you ready? 6 cards, $1,500. $1,500. So I'm not sure how many of you are going to run out and buy a pack of these to rip, but that's why I have the If Money Were No Object buy of the week, because I would absolutely love to try my luck at one of these autos, one of these patches, because they are straight fire. Straight fire. There's a booklet that has a puck in it on each side of the booklet. I mean, if you get a chance, just go look these up. These are great. Absolutely great. Some great rookies, some great classics, some great Hall of Famers are in this set. So 1,500, 6 cards. What do y'all think? Should I get 2? Money Were No Objects? Should I get 2? I don't know. It looks pretty sick. What else do I want to talk about? Black Friday came and went, and people were going nuts over Topps NBA. The Black Friday special edition that came out in Targets. People were going absolutely nuts over these. I have to say that I did buy a box of these, and they are $34.99, and they were a ton of fun. They have these awesome variations called Blackout Parallels, hence the name, Blackout with Black Friday. But these cards are really cool. I don't think they're going to be worth nothing, but I love the look of them. Almost in line with the sepia cards, but the straight black and white, and they look great. But 132 cards in the box. You get 11 packs, 12 cards per pack. And these were going for $34.99. So I didn't pull anything crazy. No patches, no autos, no nothing like that. I don't even think I got a numbered card, but it was just still a lot of fun. I'm still having fun with the Topps product. I'm still having fun, but starting to slow down a little bit. So what am I actually collecting right now as we kind of get into the holidays? It's tough because I talked about all the releases that Topps is coming out with. And, when you have the holidays and you got people you're trying to buy gifts for, it's really hard to justify dropping to $600 on Hobby Box or buying multiple different releases. And so I just don't know why they're releasing all their products in this small section of their calendar. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So what am I collecting? I think now is the time to really hit up some of the off-season sports. So baseball, I'm really trying to pick up singles through eBay or whatever other sites of players that I like to PC and collect. I've talked about that before in some of the earlier podcasts. Some of the guys I'm trying to collect, some of the guys I'm trying to PC. Royce Lewis of the Twins, I'm trying to find some of his stuff. Now, right now, I'm trying to pick up stuff that's graded. So either PSA or SGC, stuff that I just want for my personal collection, stuff like either I'm trying to get 10s right now because it's off season of baseball. Not a lot of people are buying and selling baseball, and you can get kind of better deals. So Royce Lewis, Corbin Carroll, I bought a couple singles of Corbin Carroll. I thought the prices were pretty decent. A couple of the rookies that had pretty good stuff, pretty good years with the Nats. James Wood, Dylan Cruz. I'm really working on my Dylan Cruz PC right now. I know he was injured for most of the year, but I think good things are ahead for that duo in Washington. And then outside of the major sports, I am really trying to work on my Becky Lynch personal collection. I am constantly looking for stuff for her, whether it's autos or numbered stuff. I'm really trying to work on specific wrestlers that I like in the WWE, old school stuff, get some new stuff. They were supposed to release a new WWE product that was supposed to come out, and that kind of just went away. So who knows what's going to happen on the horizon? But yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on for my own collection. I got to take a little bit of a break from buying the big products because it's not the right time of year, and I wish they would spread this stuff out more. But anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode of the 3Ts podcast. So if you have enjoyed this episode or any of the episodes of the 3Ts podcast, do me a favor, share it with someone you know, whether they are a fellow Bills Mafia member, a avid card collector, or someone who loves professional wrestling. It doesn't matter. I'm trying to grow this thing one episode at a time. Hit that follow, hit that like, leave me a quick review, help me build this thing together. And as always, I appreciate you all very, very much. So until next time, whether it's ripping packs, breaking tables, or dropping elbows, keep doing what you love. And as always, go Bills.